Patients agree treatment fails to compensate, but meaningful, real life is fluid, is pooling, even so. I'm Sydney Cimarolli, and the poem you just heard is an erasure of a medical journal article entitled Diagnosis and Management of Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome, a brief review. I used erasure as a way to reclaim limiting medical language to articulate a more expansive sense of life. This collection as a whole came out of my desire to redefine myself after having my life thrown into chaos when I was diagnosed with POTS, a chronic illness. I lost myself as I came to let medical language define how I saw myself and my quality of life. My search for a redefinition of self led me into my childhood and family history, areas where I first gained a conception of what makes a quality life. I learned through the writing process that in order to grow, I must first try and find words for the secret shames which I had previously scarcely articulated. Most importantly, I found that my illness could break me open to the world, but only if I had the courage to overcome the fear of being misunderstood, rejected, abandoned, or embarrassed in order to strive toward authentic connections. I had many mentors in this process, chief among them my cat Cowboy. Look, my favorite string lies limp in your lap. Isn't it enough to have a cat who brings you gifts, who plays fetch, tug of war? All this to be thankful for. Look, I fly across the hardwood floor, claw up your velvet couch, and daily it's the first time, our rivalry renewed. You sleep too much, even for me. You whine waking at this time of night, but I'll claw your paws to rouse you. Look, I like you, but I'm sick of you talking to yourself, like you're doing even now, even when my chin rests soft and rumbling on your arm. Look, when I want love, I ask for it. The form of persona poem allowed me here and elsewhere to extrapolate important lessons through imagining my way into the perspectives of others. Cowboy is also an example of how I use characters to provide a sense of continuity through the book. In addition to Cowboy, I include family members, friends, and a continuous you who is granted lines of dialogue throughout the collection. I also found the same themes emerging again and again in my poems. Love in the face of mortality, acceptance and gratitude for one's fate, and the struggles we face in trying to reach one another. Such serious themes emerged in moments that surprised even me, including when I was watching The Real Housewives of New York. I cried. She cupped the urn like a baby bump in the back of a taxi, stared out the window, her expression unchanging. I couldn't believe myself. I almost couldn't watch. Carol described the flood of old memories, some good, some ugly, as kind of poignant and a little uncomfortable. Like that first Sunday when you cried and I tried at solace by holding your hand like the hand of an alien under a waving web of green. You texted what's up, I answered crying at reality TV, but I meant live forever. Do you remember? Years ago you asked, do you ever think of us together in the future? Like, way in the future. I said yeah, and you said yeah, me too. I'll never say enough what I always say to you. So I had many influences when writing this book. Beyond medical journals, my cat, and The Real Housewives, several poets greatly influenced my own style and process. For example, I was inspired to find hope in ecology and love through poets like Mary Oliver and Ada Limon. I took lessons on form and style from Soft Science by Franny Choi and The Long Answer by David Keplinger, which also helped inform my excavation of my family history. Playlist for the Apocalypse by Rita Dove and The Amputee's Guide to Sex by Gillian Weiss informed my writing on illness and disability. My most profound influence, however, has been the natural world, which I owe my newfound ability to appreciate, to Becoming Animal by David Abrams, from which comes the epigraph of the following poem, the concluding poem to my collection. The breathing body, this ferociously attentive animal, still remembers. Under trees sparse with golden leaves, the cold ground's heavy push against our backs, you said, the earth, it's growing up too, developing like us, just at a much slower pace. Around us, baby branches gasp spindly breaths, stretch their collective into the cold. I shivered. You turned to me. We're all just doing the same thing. The gulls muscling across the glass slab sky, where clouds and chemtrails curl alike into gray-blue, the burrs which choose our knits as midwives, the lake that bends and bends and bends.